Okay, good evening, everyone. The board has already met in executive session, and we saluted the flag in there. So at this point, we're going to have the roll call, please. Mr. Crute.
Mr. Salmon.
Here.
Ms. Singh.
Here.
Ms. Light. Mr. Markarian. Is listed.
Here.
Ms. Schaefer.
Here.
Mrs. White.
Here.
Mr. Khanna. Mrs. Gray. Mrs. McCune.
Here.
Ms. Hira. And Mr. McLaughlin and Mr. Syed and Ms. Fox are all absent tonight, as I understand it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll just quickly go over the statement of public notice. This is a regular meeting of the Board of Education of Bernards Township. Notice of the time and place of this meeting was provided as per the law. For those members of the public who are unable to attend our meeting in person, there are 2 live stream links of the meeting posted on the district website. The 2 links are both airing our meeting. Each simply backs up the other in case of technical difficulty. We very much welcome input from the public. There are 2 times during regular meetings that the public is invited to speak. One time is early in the meeting before the board votes, when you may speak about any item that is listed on tonight's agenda. Towards the end of the meeting, there is another public forum to address any matter of public concern related to the schools. When you approach the microphone, please state your name and address. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 3 minutes duration. No participant may speak more than 1 time during a given public comment session. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. No participant may address or question board members individually. As a courtesy to those individuals unable to attend our meetings in person, public comment may be made remotely through Zoom. Interested individuals shall navigate to the district webpage and select Board of Education, followed by public comment to review the specific instructions, or click on the link in the agenda here. Public comments made in person will be processed first, then comments on Zoom. No public comments will be accepted before 7 p.m. or after the last item board forum of the agenda begins. Please understand that public comment portions of our agendas are not structured as question and answer sessions, but rather they are offered as opportunities to share your thoughts with the board. The board or administration will respond to public comments to the extent possible. Any board responses to public comments will generally be addressed during board forum or during committee reports. However, all comments are considered and will be investigated and addressed as appropriate. Please be courteous and mindful of the rights of others when speaking. Comments may not be abusive, obscene, threatening, or irrelevant. Please understand that students and employees have specific legal and privacy protections. The board is not permitted to respond in public to comments about students and employees. Please also understand that the board will not be responsible for the content of comments made by members of the public. Members of the public are cautioned that they are speaking at their own risk, and any personally directed statements they make may subject them to legal liability to the affected individual. If it is necessary for the board to go into an executive session at the end of the meeting, we will provide an estimated length of time for that session and whether any action is anticipated to be taken upon returning to public session. Okay. I don't really have any board president comments except for happy end of school and congratulations to the class of 2022. A number of us were at the graduation, and it was a very wonderful event to be back having a normal graduation after the last several years. And we have 2 items for superintendent's report. Would someone like to make a motion for those 2 items? Ms. Singh and Ms. Schaefer. Did you have anything, Nick? No? Okay, could we have a roll call, please, Mr. Crute?
Mr. Salmon.
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer.
Yes.
Ms. Singh.
Yes.
Mrs. White.
Yes.
Mrs. McCune.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We are now up to public comment on agenda items. If anyone has a comment on anything on the agenda tonight, please state your name and address, and then you can sign in afterwards on the clipboard. So I don't see any public comments on agenda items. So we're up to approval of minutes. There's 1 item. Would someone like to make a motion for the item? Mr. Salmon, and somebody second. Mrs. White. Could we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Salmon.
Yes.
Mrs. Schaefer. Ms. Schaefer.
Yes.
Ms. Singh.
Yes.
Mrs. White,
Yes.
Mrs. McCune.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We're now up to finance. There are 28 items. Would somebody like to make a motion for those items? Ms. Schaefer and Ms. Singh. Is there a finance committee report, do we think? No? Because Karen... Okay, so we just are going to vote on these items. Does anyone have any questions about the items before we vote? No? Okay, could we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Salmon,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer,
Yes.
Ms. Singh,
Yes.
Mrs. White,
Yes.
Mrs. McCune.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We're up to the Personnel Committee. There are 29 items. Would someone like to make a motion for them?
On the agenda, there says there's separate items 11 through 27, which are on a separate, like an addendum or something. I didn't see that.
I saw them online when I was looking, right?
Those are the 100-plus pages of the appointments of the staff members in their positions and their step and their salary on the guide. So
Yeah,
it's-
I see it on, like, in our internal, yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
that's what 11 to 27 are.
Okay, did someone, we didn't get a motion yet, right? Okay, someone needs to make a motion for these items, Mrs. White and Ms. Singh. Was there a committee report?
Excuse me, we did meet on June 10th, but the topics of discussion were all confidential staff matters, so no report, no public report.
Okay, thank you. Could we have a roll call, please, Mr. Crute?
Mr. Salmon,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer,
Yes.
Ms. Singh,
Yes.
Mrs. White,
Yes.
Mrs. McCune.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. We're up to the Policy Committee. There's one item there. Would someone like to make a motion for that? Mr. Salmon and Mrs. White. And I think these are all second reading. And Mr. Marcari, there's no changes to those?
No changes since first reading.
Okay, does anyone have any questions about those before we vote? No? Okay, could we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Salmon,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer,
Yes.
Ms. Singh,
Yes.
Mrs. White,
Yes.
Mrs. McCune.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. We're up to the Curriculum Committee.
We don't meet until the end of July, and I reported out last time.
Okay, thank you. Wellness Committee?
Yes, I do have a report. The Wellness Committee met on June 16th, and we had an update from Dr. Lazovic about Ridge Gives Back, which was a really exciting program that we've heard a little bit about. He kind of commented about the feedback from students, parents, staff was overwhelmingly positive. They distributed a 17-minute photo montage that I couldn't find on the website, but I'll look and see where I can find it. That everyone, the students really seemed happy. There were clearly glitches and people, they're well aware of that. The team that planned this did so in a very rapid way, and it was an incredible day for what it was. They've collected 20 pages at least worth of thoughts for next year. But the positivity that came out of this, the students discovered places that they want to continue to volunteer at their sites. They gained awareness of the current situations that exist out there, other people's situations, public policy, and really ways that they can help, which for students at various ages is really important to understand that they can make a difference. Some students were even talking about considering a new career path. There was wonderful interactions with the students and the staff members, and Dr. Lezovic said everybody was all in. And we talked a lot about the fact that this could be one of the most memorable or significant things the students do in their high school career. The team did learn a lot. They'll work on making the program even better. They listed a few things that they're already very aware of. But even the feedback from parents when things didn't go wrong or didn't go well, or the staff was really couched in, it could be so much better, we're so excited about this. So they are already evaluating and working toward next year. And next year, they have a date for Ridge Gives Back, which is June 1st, 2023. So look for it. And next year, they're going to connect it more to the Tea Time initiatives. This Tea Time, the month of June, I believe, was community. So it did work within the service idea. Next, we had an update about the free and reduced lunch pilot, that there was some extra initiative, and the students were advised of what that was, who were involved in that program, and it's been considered to be a pretty good success. And we also heard about the counseling office having a safe space where some of these students can go and grab a snack and relax. We had an update about the ESS program from Jean O'Connell. There were 18 students involved, and they're graduating 6 students out of the program, 5 are seniors and 1 graduating completely out of the program. Starting the program again in August. There are 4 referrals pending. So that's, they've got 20 spots, up to 20. And we have spoken about adding the additional program at WAMS. They're going to cap that at 10 for now. If they don't get those numbers, they're going to potentially support students at the elementary level. And Jean O'Connell meets with ESS monthly to go over what is happening. And our final update was from Rich Shello, and this has been an ongoing conversation at Wellness about integrating the coaches into wellness. We were given a list of all of the current coaches' trainings that they go through, but this was the additional training that we were discussing, including adding in a program through the U.S. Center for Safe Sport, which is a 90-minute online course about minor athlete abuse, sexual abuse prevention, and enhancing that with another program through NFHS, Protecting Students from Abuse, which could be used in succeeding years as a refresher course. And then he also did, so that was sort of the sexual abuse and abuse piece of it that we felt we needed to add into. And then also the Positive Coaching Alliance was what Mr. Shello found, with a 1-year partnership with them to do 1 live workshop per season about positive coaching. And then in addition to the books, and the costs of that are about $3,800. The second course, so the coaches could take the live course and then a second course online. There are 80 courses online workshops for next level training. And that potentially we could look at this as part of future staff college. We also discussed having a coaching mentoring program for new coaches, and the need for an evaluation of the effectiveness of this training were discussed as opportunities. So the proposal was to do the Positive Coaching Alliance for next year, and then evaluate and see where we were going to go from there. And that was it. Any questions?
Okay, thank you. I think, we're going to circle back to finance. Mr. Markarian's going to report out on a couple of the items that were discussed at that meeting.
Thank you. So yes, I double-checked, and it looks like we did finish the Finance Committee minutes. So although our chair isn't here tonight to report out, I thought I could summarize here for you. The first item that was discussed was the food service program. The food service contract manager was there at the meeting, Mr. Gerichter. He was there to review the current contract adjustment to the guaranteed revenue number and the contract renewal for next year. Lunch service was modified at the start of this school year. COVID protocols prevented the normal annual revenue to be realized. When compared to 2019, food costs are up 40% and labor is up 30%, and revenue was down due to COVID protocols. Per the current contract, the guaranteed revenue was $475,000. Numerous economic factors prevented us from meeting this threshold. Mr. Gerichter, an advocate, negotiated with Airmark to reduce the guaranteed revenue for this year by $200,000. Since there's an operating shortfall of $50,000, Airmark will be issuing a check to the district for $250,000. For 2022-23, food and labor costs are expected to remain inflated. Because the cost is up, this impacts the ability to meet the guaranteed revenue commitment. advocated negotiate a new guaranteed revenue threshold of $250,000. With this adjustment, their contracted increase is 3%. This is a great outcome, given that New Jersey has an index rate of 7.5%. This agreement is based on the assumption that Aramark will be producing more meals next year and that COVID protocols at the middle school are dropped. John Perrin, the Assistant Director of Facilities, reported on the Oak Street School roof project. He talked about some of the challenges that exist with the pitched roof original design, went into some details about the subdecking and how that is going to be managed so that the new shingles can be installed. Mr. Perrin advised that the work may begin over the weekend. He was hoping it would start on June 18th. I saw Mr. Perrin this morning. They did not get started until today. But he showed me some pictures, and they have made deliveries of a lot of materials. They were offloading today, and they were putting up safety fencing. So they are on site as of today, making progress. We talked about the work order system. Currently, we have 525 non-preventive maintenance work orders. The majority of these are HVAC related. This was the driver in a conversation about using maintenance reserve to hire more HVAC technicians. We're looking to try to have 2 on staff for next year. We had 1 on staff for the current year. That person left mid-year. In order to catch up, the business administrator was recommending replacing the existing position and bringing on a second person, even if that is a short-term position until these HVAC issues are addressed. Some of these challenges with HVAC are connected to the way equipment was run at an accelerated or high-capacity rate to help respond to COVID. Update on the girls' varsity softball field. Mr. Larkin, the Director of Facilities, joined the meeting. He illustrated the final survey that had been received by the professional engineer that had put it together. Mr. Larkin is meeting this week with the township engineer to consider the necessity of soil erosion and sediment control plans. I spoke to Mr. Larkin today, and he reiterated that he is meeting with 3 contractors this week to get bidding for the design that the engineer put together. The project involves silt fencing, stripping and stockpiling topsoil, placing new fill and grading that fill, installing sod and/or seed to the finished grade, and restoring all disturbed areas, finishing the project by removing the silt fencing at the end. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Markarian. Does anyone have any questions for him about finance? Okay. Does anyone have any liaison committee reports? No? Okay, at this point, we're up to public comment on non-agenda items. If you come up, please state your name and address, and then you can sign in on the clipboard afterwards.
Lynn Murray, 72 Deer Ridge Road. I just wanted to thank Mr. Markarian for the update on the softball field. Kind of anything I had written is, I was wondering about the soil erosion and what was going to go up with that. But basically, I just wanted to thank the board and all the members of the public for the support that was given to the girls last week. The girls were pretty shocked that they had people approaching them, commending them for their bravery, and others that took time out of their 3 minutes to, speak about it. Really, I wanted to also publicly give a big thank you, specifically to Mr. Salmon, that spoke directly to them and just explaining to them that this is how you get things done and encouraging them to come to the meetings and talk directly to the Board of Ed when there is an issue. So thank you very much. So we're looking forward to, see the progress throughout the summer and see what happens. And thank you very much.
Is there anyone else here for public comment in person?
Janice Corrado, 8 Lone Oak Road. I was disturbed to hear comments at the June 13th board meeting insinuating that supervisors and administrators represent unnecessary spending on the part of our school district. As a former educator, I would like to share just a few of the responsibilities of these staff members and the vital role they play. I would also like to dispel the notion that other school districts employ fewer administrators. Calling them coordinators or directors may obscure the administrative title, but not the work involved in these positions. Supervisors are in-district professional resources for teachers. They share best practices in teaching and current research in their area of expertise. Supervisors keep teachers informed of the evolving resources available, books, textbooks, online offerings, and other related materials as part of the district curriculum. Supervisors guide teachers so that they can help students at every level access the New Jersey State learning standards. Virtual instruction has created immense challenges for teachers and supervisors as they continually pre-screen, evaluate, and decide what should be added or changed in their lessons to best represent current knowledge and benefit all learners. This is an ongoing process which requires evaluation by thoughtful content area experts. Supervisors also observe and evaluate each teacher in the district, veteran teachers twice a year, non-tenured teachers 4 times a year. Supervisors meet with teachers 3 times per observation, discussing learning objectives, observing the actual teaching of the lesson, and discussing the instructional effectiveness, including student engagement and differentiation of instruction. The supervisor then offers specific recommendations to guide the teacher's professional development. Supervisors are vital to the district's ability to provide pedagogical guidance to all teachers, but especially to new teachers. Anyone who follows education has read of impending shortages as veteran teachers retire from schools. At this time, when teacher recruitment and retention is more important than ever, our community should be grateful for the knowledgeable supervisors and administrators our district has in place. Rather than denigrating the important work of these staff members, it might be helpful for critics unfamiliar with schools to spend some time understanding the responsibilities of these educational professionals before questioning the need for them in a public forum.
Is there anyone else here in person for public comment? No? Is there anybody waiting to come in, Mr. Markarian? Can you check? No, there's nobody waiting to come in on Zoom. So at this point, I'll close public comment. We're up to board forum. Does anyone have anything for board forum? Okay.
So at the last Board of Ed meeting, we had several officers coming in and out at the back. We have one officer at each of our board meetings, and there was a question about officers and who was here and for why. I learned later that the officers were changing shifts, getting the right person here, so that's why you saw, perhaps noticed some extra traffic with officers in the back of the auditorium at the last meeting. I was also asked about whether or not SROs were here. I had originally suggested to our Director of Safety and Security, Mr. Werner, maybe he could come and listen to our board meeting and see if any of the SROs could join him. And I found out later they weren't available, and that's why they weren't here. But I wanted to clarify because I think it was, someone had asked a question, Ms. Gray had answered that it was, that we had SROs at the meeting, and it turns out that they were not available, and so they weren't here. And the extra traffic of police officers people might have noticed in the back was really about guys just switching shifts. So I wanted to try to clarify that. That's all.
Anyone else have anything? No? Okay, we're up to adjournment. Would someone like to make a motion? Ms. Singh and Ms. Schaefer? All in favor? Thank you. Good night, everyone.
If the softball kids have a minute, I have one other thing I just remembered I'll tell you before you go.